What does that mean? In fact, let me find simpler English. I don't know if this is much better. Yeah. So what does it mean that we are a witness, shahada ala nas, and then, or what does it mean that we are a witness over the people? So the basic point is that our obligation in being the middle nation is to actually practice this deen, right? Because here's a tough question that I ask many of my students. Okay. What do we really have to offer? Okay. Beyond promises. Okay. So what do we have to offer in Islam? Every one of us believes that it's the best deen, right? Okay. But the question is, in practice, what do we have to offer? Because those who were there for my khutbah, I mentioned very briefly today that, all right, you go to every Muslim majority country, every single Muslim majority country is a big mess, right? Politically a big mess, financially a big mess, poverty, corruption, everything. Okay? Then, if except maybe you can say perhaps Turkey, right? Okay. Maybe Malaysia, right? But then, if we go to the, I don't know if it's right to call them the capital of the Christian countries or the capitalist countries, then you have much more organization. Okay? Much more of a hope that if something happens wrong to me, I can expect or I can hope that I will get some justice. Okay? So the question is that, all right, what do we have to offer? Okay? What do you think? Now we can say and look at all the Muslim majority countries and say, well, they're not practicing Islam, right? Okay, maybe that's fine, maybe that's true. Okay? Then, if we look at our own communities here, can we say, all right, we're practicing Islam, therefore what we have to offer is clearly better than what everybody else has. I'm not even saying that my question is fair, okay? But what do you think? What do you think, Dawood? What do we have to offer? Beyond promises that if you follow this, you're going to go to paradise, inshallah. What do you think? It's like, I don't want to wake up right now. I'm kidding. Or anyone. Okay? Can we say honestly that if you follow this deen, you'll have more peace of mind than your Christian neighbor will have, right? Or your non-believing other neighbor? Can we say that honestly? In principle, I think we all would agree, right? That if you follow this way, you will have more gratitude, you will have more happiness, more peace of mind, more contentment. Can we say that practically? Okay. So, then is there any place where we're walking the talk? Right. I'm sorry? Okay.
How, again, if you are married, then, that's not for us. That's
Okay.
for Allah to judge.
Okay.
But what Quran tells us is that this is the way, and I'm sure, and it says for Christians and in Surah Baqarah, for Christians and Jews who believe in Allah and the that day of judgment, they should be at peace.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So that's.
Okay.
But I'm not going to judge what they are doing if they're happy or not.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I think it liberates us
okay.
from taking the blame. Because we do everything that we can and then we rest our case with
Okay.
It's liberating.
Okay, liberating from blame for what?
That we didn't do enough.
Okay. Sure.
Like we don't have to go visit the psychiatrist and
Okay.
kind of talk it out and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's a lot of Muslims who need to see psychiatrists like yesterday. Okay.
But if you really believe
Okay.
God will take care of you, then we don't need a Sabbath.
Okay, that's fair. But I would still suggest that if I was in a room full of Christians, they would give the same answer, right? That if you believe in God, and then you have nothing else to worry about.
You might be right.
Okay.
How can I say that
Okay.
if they believe in one God, they believe
Okay.
in one God just like me?
Okay.
So who am I to say that?
No. The Christians will say, and many have said to me,
Yeah.
that if you don't believe that Christ is the Son,
Uh-huh.
then you're not going to heaven.
Okay.
So that's wrong. They can't say that.
But
Okay.
that's different.
Okay. You were saying something? Oh, just about psychologist, G.
First, we should follow Quran and Hadith, whatever Prophet gave us, perfectly,
Okay.
so that they see us
Okay.
and they say, what is this?
Okay.
And they will ask question, then we can explain.
Okay.
When the Sahaba rolled out of Medina,
Sure.
the non-Muslims, they see their life and they come
Uh-huh.
to learn about Islam.
Okay.
And they're very nice people. What they are doing,
Okay.
class are there.
Okay. Okay.
So first we have to show ourselves practical.
Okay.
What is our?
Okay. Okay. So first, we do have to show practically. We have to embody Islam completely. Okay. Can we say? I think we would all agree with this, right? We would all agree with this point. Can we say? Is there any of us that would point to ourselves and say, "Yes, I'm embodying Islam completely"? Or is there any community, for example, in Chicago, where we'd say, "Yes, this is happening"? What do you think? That's the tough part. I'm saying theoretically we all agree, right? Theoretically.
But even the prophets couldn't do that, so I mean,
Okay.
I'm not saying that that's good, but
Okay.
I'm just saying that Allah knows this, and that's
Okay.
why that it's Tawbah and Istighfar, and
Okay. Okay.
that every day you're going to make tons of mistakes, and
Okay.
as long as we return back to Him,
Okay.
inshallah, it will be fine.
Inshallah.
So,
But in Akhirah.
yeah,
Okay.
but the basic belief is believing in one God.
Okay,
That's
fair.
the key.
Okay.
And everything else is up to Allah.
Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts? In case you just walked in, this is the type of question you would want to participate in. Okay. The question that I'm posing is, what do we have to offer? Right. So let me take this a step further. Yeah.
What do you offer
Beyond promises.
out there? People in Chicago, other non-Muslims, or other Muslims?
My focus would be non-Muslims in Chicago, right? It would be non-Muslims in general, but at the most practical level, people on the street, right? People in a 5-mile radius, 10-mile radius, 50-mile radius, right? That so if our deen is 100% from start to finish from Allah Ta'ala, okay, then by definition, it's better than everything else. It's better than anything anyone makes up, and it's also better than other traditions that we believe have corruption in them. Right? Agree so far? Right. Do we see that, the superiority, anywhere except in Akhirah? Do we see it in any capacity? Should we see it in dunya? Should we see that there's something about practicing Muslims that we can say, these people, they're better than everybody else? Because it seems to me that that if you have a community of practicing Muslims and a community of practicing any other religion, the character of the Muslims should be higher than everybody else, right? Because that's central to our deen, right? That's what I think should be the case. Okay? Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of things were great at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, right? Because even like, what's another thing that we say that?
That's also a myth in my opinion.
Okay.
Because, we knew that there were a lot of fights, and we knew 3 of the fire were basically assassinated.
Okay.
And also saying that...
You sure it wasn't all 4?
Huh?
You sure it wasn't all 4?
Well,
Okay, anyway.
He passed away. He was quite old.
Yeah.
He came up in the public.
Okay.
The 3 were assassinated. So
Okay.
how can we say that? And these were Muslim. A lot of them were Muslims
Okay.
who killed the
Okay.
Muslim Khalifas. So
Okay.
saying that everything was just perfect.
Okay.
Yes, from the history books, that's what it seems like.
Okay.
But only Allah knows. And a
Okay.
lot of these were Jews then accepted Islam, and
Okay.
later on, some of the traditions were also, prepped in sunnahs.
Okay. And going back to that point. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm just saying that that's also a myth that everything is just perfect in
Okay.
this world, but only Allah knows.
Okay.
We know that the Prophet, yes, he was living, reading Quran, but
Okay.
not everything
Okay,
during
but
that time was perfect.
was it still fair to say that the conduct of the Sahaba holistically was what we would say noticeably, significantly better than the conduct of the kuffar? I think that's probably fair to say.
Around the time of the Prophet.
At the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Okay. Okay. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Are you asking the question from a realistic standpoint? Can you point to a community where this is the case where the Muslims are better at their conduct than anything else?
Well-
Or from a theoretical standpoint, saying, if they were to do that, then this would be.
Well, I think that we would all agree that if, the common thing we say is that, all right, if the Muslims practiced Islam thoroughly, right, I think we would all agree 100% with this point that, okay, then, we'd be so much better than everybody else, okay, right? But I'm saying practically speaking, okay, can we say that the common Muslim community in Chicago, okay, has a higher degree of upright conduct than the common church in Chicago, right? Or the common, fine, yeah, or the common business in Chicago, right? Because even if we look at, for example, just a very simplistic view of the evolution of Europe in the past 600 years. So in the 1500s, we have the Renaissance and the Reformation. The Reformation is saying, okay, I don't need to use the church. I don't have to go to the church to go through God, because the church is corrupt, right? Then 200 years later, we have the Enlightenment, where you have philosophers who are saying, we can live a better life without Christianity. Okay? And so the point being, practically speaking, okay, it seems to me that we're not offering anything better, right? We're offering better ideas. So that would be, but I think people have been making that point for 1,000 years, right?
But it is true, as people move away, that's when they start idealism.
Okay.
That's when our prophet was sent. So
Okay.
the thing is to go back to the basics and
Okay.
not to lose the message.
Okay.
That's
Good. Again, we would all agree with this point. Okay.
what,
But
we have to agree. That's why we have this class.
okay, fine. Okay, mashallah, wonderful point. Yeah, indeed. Okay.
Because I don't know if you need a religion to tell you do this, and you do it like a danda.
Okay.
You have to get that state that something is wrong.
Okay.
Hindu or Muslim system, or none, who don't believe at all.
Mhm.
But this is the state of moral development. And that's
Okay.
why you tell the truth because that's the right thing to do.
Okay. Okay.
So that's what I guess that point of view, you are saying because we are Muslim, we are going to be the better people.
Well,
I really don't know.
well, this is what I'm asking. If we're not going to be better people, right, as part of Islam, then maybe that is maybe only the answer will come in Akhirah, right? Yeah. Okay. So what do you think? Still, you haven't spoken. MashaAllah. Right. Yeah.
But dunya is that part, it's dunya wala, not only akhirah.
Yeah.
That is another problem. We always thinking about akhirah, never knowing what will happen here.
Sure. Sure.
We go there like
Uh-huh.
this.
That is my.
I can't help but look at this question
Yeah.
through the lens of a particular ayah. Surah An-Nur, ayah 55.
Okay, let's take a look. So this is essentially making. I think this is still making the point that if we follow Allah Ta'ala, He will give us khulafa, right?
Exactly. And so if we do one thing, it leads to something else.
Okay.
But because we're not getting to something else, we're not doing the thing that leads to it.
Okay. Okay. That was a really cool, theoretical statement. Okay. Well, let me pull up the ayah and then you can explain to us.
It comes into reality because we're not succeeding in the earth. The right regions in the world.
So Surah 24, ayah 55. So Surah Nur, ayah 55. Okay. And so, explain again.
So we're we're not fulfilling the conditions of this particular ayah.
Okay.
The conditions are practical.
Okay, so what are the conditions of this
We
ayah?
need to believe, we need to do good works. Scroll down a little bit. Some more. Keep going. We have to worship Him, ascribing no partners to Him.
Okay.
Those are the three conditions. And because we're not, and if we fulfill those conditions according to this ayah, then we would be made to be the successors in the earth.
Okay.
And we have the things that entails. We
Okay.
have security and not fear. We have this and that.
Okay. So you're saying that where we're failing is that we're not fulfilling these three conditions of iman, worship of Allah Ta'ala exclusively, and to do right works. But aren't we fulfilling those? Which ones are we not fulfilling?
I don't think we're fulfilling. We're fulfilling at least not one of them, if not all three.
Okay, but which one? Which one? Okay. Okay, fair. So
But I
the
say
formula
that
being...
because we're not successful.
Okay, so the point here being that in this ayah, Allah Ta'ala has promised those of you who have iman and amal salih, who believe and do right, that He will certainly make you khulafa, that He will make you vicegerents in the earth, as He made those before them, and He will certainly establish their deen for them, establish for them their religion, which He has chosen for them, and He will certainly give them peace in place of fear, which they were before. Okay, and then the third point, they worship me, they worship Allah Ta'ala, ascribing no partners to Him, and those who become kafir after that are people who are rebellious. Okay. So the formula that Dawood is giving us is that something in these three is not being fulfilled. Yeah, okay, sir. I do not remember what the histories of this ayah, and I know it has something to do with Dawood alayhi salam, but I don't remember the history of this ayah. Do you know? Do you remember?
No.
Okay. So fair that by definition we're not fulfilling these three, but it still seems to me that it's hard to identify which one are we not fulfilling. Right? I think it's fair to say that a very significant portion of Muslims are fulfilling their core 5 pillars. Is that fair to say? No. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So not even prayer or fasting. You're saying because of this ayah, or you're just saying in general?
I think there's more people fasting than doing prayer.
Okay.
And more people doing their prayer than they have fasting.
Okay. So you're saying that, okay, even the basic 5 pillars, just, it's fair to say, are not being fulfilled. All right, which goes back to the point that we're not fulfilling our Islam. Okay. Any other thoughts?
My pillars is doing rituals. If you don't understand why we are doing it, it's like basically just saying that, yeah, I do the 5 pillars. What does that mean?
Okay, what if I do them purely because Allah Ta'ala tells me I have to?
Yeah, then it makes sense. You're
Okay.
doing it for Allah.
So I'm doing it out of obedience, okay.
Are you doing it because you just have to make a checklist and say,
Okay.
yes, I did this, and this
Okay.
today, but why did I do it, or what was the...
Okay.
And that's the basic problem. That you're not understanding who we are doing it for, or...
Okay.
So I'm just doing the rituals. The
Sure.
Jews do very good rituals. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if Christians do it too, but that's
Okay.
the problem.
But you are agreeing that if I'm doing it, if I don't know what any of it means, but I'm doing it out of obedience to Allah Ta'ala, that's at least sufficient.
I don't think so.
You're saying that's not sufficient. I would disagree. I'd say that if you're doing it out of obedience, even if I don't know what any of it means, that's bare minimum. Yeah.
I think
But
that's
this is a discussion we've had before, and I'm guessing that those opinions are not going to change. But so is this basically it? Does it really come down to the fact that, all right, we're just not practicing the deen, and that's why we're a mess? Yeah? Okay. Is that basically it? So, and then is that fair to say that if we're looking at the Muslim community in Chicago, that the reason why, as a community, we don't have anything significantly different to offer or better to offer is that when it comes down to it, we're not really practicing? How much, you're probably not going to give an answer, but how much of the community would have to be fulfilling these things? 100%?
No.
Okay. 50?
I can't put it in a number.
Yeah, I know you're not going to answer it. Okay. Right, yeah.
Well, because the idea is that you have some critical mass
Okay.
that are doing this.
Okay.
and then that allows the community.
So
You're never going to get 100%
fine.
performance.
Okay. So then the key is that we should all become tabligh jamaat, right? And notice that was silent, so he's not disagreeing. So the basic point being that our focus should be to go around, make sure everybody prays, make sure everybody fasts. What do you think?
I think we need to make sure that we do it ourselves.
That meaning, okay, so we're focusing on ourselves, and then we go door to door to every single Muslim household. You know, just the way the TJs did.
No, that's not allowed.
Why?
Because that your religion is your mind.
Okay.
You can force it.
Quran says
Okay, but I don't think they force, at least the good TJs, they say, all right, what is it that's preventing you from going? All right, I got to wash the car, let me wash the car for you. Again, I got to do this, let me do it for you. Right?
your job is to just give a message.
Okay, fine.
Your job is not to force anything.
Okay, but I think textbook TJs don't force anybody, right? That the textbook TJs, basically, are trying to do whatever it takes to get you into the masjid. Doesn't that seem to be if I'm understanding you properly, that seems that then the cure is to take the TJ route. That's what it would appear to be. So tomorrow, Dawood is going to go on Jawla, right? For 40 days. Okay, but this is the question that I'm raising. The very serious question being, can we say beyond promises that we have something better to offer? Okay. Then from there, that the Prophet, peace be upon him, is a witness against us, and the rest of here is about the Qibla. Okay. So this section, as 123 to 163, is about Ibrahim alayhi salam, Hajar alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam, the Qibla, and then ultimately the birth and purpose of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Okay. And then from there we get into the section closer to where we are. Okay. And in the last few sessions we've spoken about a few things. One, we've spoken about looking at the world as ayat of Allah Ta'ala. Inna fi khalqis samawati wal ard wa ikhtilaf al-layli wan nahar, and so forth and so on. That all of these things are ayat of Allah Ta'ala. All these things have been designed for us. So one step in developing our relationship with Allah Ta'ala is to see everything as ayat of Allah Ta'ala. Okay. And we've done that exercise many times in the various versions of our class. That when I see a leaf falling from a tree, what's the first thing that comes to mind? If I'm from the Midwest, I think of fall, autumn, school year beginning, temperature changing. The level that I want to get to is anything I see, anything I notice, actually reminds me of Allah Ta'ala. Okay. That we're socially conditioned to see the world in a particular way. Okay. And the level I want to get to is to take things from looking at them as ayat of the seasons, ayat of whatever else is happening, into looking at them as ayat of Allah Ta'ala. Okay. Okay. And then we spoke about, what else? We spoke about do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. Okay, where'd it go? So, the most common question, non-theological question that I get, the most common fiqh question that I get overwhelmingly is, can I eat this food? Right? Over and over again. First thing to keep in mind is that the ayah, the first mention here of eat what is permissible, is not only speaking about food here. Okay. Here's anything that you take in with your ears, with your eyes, especially anything that you consume. Try to take in only the tayyib. What is halal and tayyib? Halal is what? That's which is permitted. Tayyib, the fiqhi definition of tayyib, is something that does not harm you. Okay. So we also have an understanding and underlying philosophy of the world, that the default way to look at the world is that the world is halal, that the world is good. Okay. To stay away from the things that are harmful. Okay. And then do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. What do we say about this? Like, for example, if you're walking in the snow and you see footsteps, what automatically happens? It creates curiosity. Okay. Where is this person walking? Whose feet are these? So not only do not follow shaitan, okay, shaitan is trying to lure you, even stay away from what seems to be his signs. Because what is his goal? His goal is to order you to do fahsha, right? immodest things, indecent things, and then to lead you to say wrong things about Allah Ta'ala. To lead you to say things about Allah Ta'ala that you have no knowledge of. Okay? So what is his technique? First, to try to lure you, and to try to get you to do things that are indecent. Okay? Now keep in mind that the indecent thing that a person is doing might technically be halal, might not be haram. Okay? Because indecency might be a matter of how you conduct yourself. Okay? Well, think of the conversations people might have talking about things that they shouldn't talk about. Right? So it's one thing to say haram things. Okay? It's another thing to make jokes about inappropriate things. Right? Right. So think of this as the opposite of good adab. So adab is you're speaking not just truth, but you're speaking politely. Yeah. And so this would be the opposite direction. And what is the basic point? The point is that he's trying to lower you down. Right. That for most of us, shaitan is not going to tempt us to commit murder, a'udhu billah. But he might tempt us to lower our standards a little bit. And then once we're at that level, to lower it further. Okay. Jumping forward, then we do speak about food, which we can touch again if you'd like. Then I want to focus on this dua, which actually someone mentioned a moment ago. This big dua that all of us know. I think it's ayah 205. I hope you're not getting dizzy with me scrolling through this so fast. Okay. So, there is a companion who was very sick. Okay. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, asked him, what did you pray for? And he said, I prayed that instead of giving me any suffering in my akhirah, whatever I'm supposed to have in my akhirah, give it to me in this dunya. What do you think about this? It's pretty heavy-duty dua. Okay. So any suffering that I would be having in akhirah, give it to me now. Okay. And he became very, very sick. Okay. And then he was told by the Prophet, peace be upon him, this is a better dua. Okay. Okay. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana. So think about this. This is the opposite. I mean, the best of dunya, of fil akhirati hasana, and the best of akhirah. Okay. It seems like that would be a sensible dua, right? Okay, don't give me any suffering in akhirah, give it to me now. Okay. Why is this better? Obviously, it's in Quran and all that, but why is this better? Yeah, absolutely. Right? If my focus is on my suffering, then what am I doing? It's saying that I'm not asking for forgiveness. Okay. So, I should always be asking for forgiveness. Even the Prophet ﷺ, as many as 100 times a day, asked for forgiveness. Right? And he's sin-free. Okay? But the point is that, what should I really pray for? Pray for the best. Okay? Pray for the best of akhirah, and pray for the best of dunya. Okay? And keep this point in mind. This is a heavy point, because again, a lot of times in terms of the way we approach our akhirah, we tend to focus as a community on just passing. Okay? And why? When Jannatul Firdaus is available. Okay? That we should aim for the best of akhirah, and we should aim for the best of dunya. Okay? For example, in our tradition, is there prohibition, and we've talked about this is more review, is there prohibition, or who's better? The person who is poor or the person who's rich? Who's better? With Allah Ta'ala. Yeah, it's not really to how much wealth you have, right? Because we often only speak about the companions who had nothing, right? We don't mention one of the super Khalifas, Uthman radiallahu anh, who was so wealthy. Okay? So the point being that often in our community we idealize those who have less. Okay? That's not our tradition. Okay? We're supposed to be idealizing those who are doing the best. Okay? And so the point is that we aim for the best of akhirah, and we aim for the best of dunya. Okay, so the best deed is not the deed that is best in akhirah. The best deed is the deed that's best in akhirah and dunya. That's the best deed. Okay. Second best, which is really good, is the deed that's best in akhirah. Okay. And the third would be a deed that's best in dunya, and then the worst would be that's no benefit. Why do we ask waqina adhab an-nar, and save us from the fire? Okay. Why is it not sufficient? the best of dunya and the best of akhirah. Why do we also ask to be protected from the fire too? Again, it's in the Quran, so therefore we do it. But what's the wisdom that we can gather?
I mean, I've heard it said that just our existence alone is not enough, right? Allah, so by our existence, I think this is we're sinners just by the mere fact that we're alive. There's nothing we can do to compensate Allah for what He's given us.
That sounds like old Sheikh Hamza. I don't know if that's contemporary Sheikh Hamza. Yeah.
Therefore, you have to ask for forgiveness for anything. Otherwise, you're in the fire regardless of how good.
Okay. That's kind of like something I wouldn't want to teach a child, but it might be factual, yes.
Because we don't know if we end up in heaven or hell.
Okay, yeah.
So it's always important that we say.
Yeah, so you're asking for both. No fire and give me Jannah. And we also don't know if we're going to go to the fire first, right? That there are going to be some people who are going to go straight to paradise, and inshallah we would all be them. Okay? But there are some people who might go to the fire first, and then get to Jannah. I'm sorry? And then go to Jannah, inshallah. Yeah.
And it's also a response or a choice.
It's guaranteed only for a few days. Absolutely. Yeah. So protection from the fire also. That there were some people at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, who were warned that, okay, you know that this is the truth and you should follow it. And they said, well, we're only going to go to the fire for a few days. Right. And so then the response to them is, did Allah give you a promise? Yeah. Okay. The last big point, and where did it go? Okay. We're on ayah 211. 208. Okay. Which is sort of what we've been discussing. Okay. This instruction. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu udkhulu, so enter fis-silmi kafa. Okay. And then again, وَلَا تَتَّبِئُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Okay. So, enter Islam completely. Okay. Enter into silm, enter into peace completely. Okay. Which, again, is sort of what many of us have been saying already. Okay. How? Yeah. What's a formula? Yeah, okay, sir. Come back to the Quran, come back to the Quran, come back to the Quran. Okay. What's the difference between following the Quran and following the Prophet, peace be upon him? Okay. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, gives us mechanism. The Quran does not necessarily give us mechanisms or steps to follow. Okay. Any other things?
In the Quran it says the Prophet is dealing with this, the best thing to do, and that's what
Okay.
this is. It's not here, so right now this is the...
Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts? Any other answers? Can't separate the two. You can't separate the Quran from the Prophet, peace be upon him. Okay. Okay. I'll give you a couple answers. Right. So, the answer that is commonly given from a fiqh perspective is first, you focus either on making sure you're fulfilling fard, okay, or you focus on removing haram. Okay. So that's basically step 1 and 2. Whatever one you do first is up to you. So make sure you are establishing fard. Sunnah, nafal, everything else later. Make sure you're getting fard done. Okay. And then, or make sure you're removing haram. Okay. That might be enough for a lifetime, for many of us. Right? Here's a quick question. What's the fard of wudu? Can anybody tell me? Just the fard. That's not even fard. Yeah.
Wash hands, wash face, wash arms, and stuff.
Okay. Wash feet. So, فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. So wash your face. Okay. And then your hands up to the elbows. Okay. Your feet up to the ankles. Okay. And wipe your head. That's the fard. Everything else is sunnah or mustahab. Okay. Right. So the point is that the fard things is actually a very small list of things. But first step in the fiqh prescription is get the fard, okay, and get rid of haram. Okay. Easier said than done. Okay. And then you focus on sunnah and getting rid of makruh. Okay. Right. So, but first you set up the big things. Okay? That's one answer that's commonly given. Another answer that's commonly given is that you connect yourself with a teacher, okay, who can guide you through the whole process. Okay? Right. In our culture, I think we're very allergic to this, but this is the answer throughout time. Right. Okay. Another answer that's given would be to actually embody the Quran step by step, okay, passage by passage, meaning you are reading the passage, you're reflecting upon it, you're digesting it, you don't move forward until you have the next one. Okay. Another answer is that you get yourself as close to the Prophet as possible. Right. So these are all common answers that are given. I think if you take any of them, they will be, inshallah, a successful route. Okay. But this is an instruction from Allah Ta'ala. Enter completely. And so now the fundamental question for me to ask myself is that if I compare myself right now with myself 2 years ago, 5 years ago, can I say to myself honestly, can I say to Allah Ta'ala honestly, that I'm a better Muslim today than I was 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 5 years ago? Okay. The answer is no. If the answer is no, then here's the question. Okay. That the people who are not changing, okay, says they are looking for nothing, well, this is on parentheses, but that Allah Ta'ala comes himself on clouds with angels. Okay. Meaning, what would it take for me, honestly, to focus on changing myself? Okay. Again, this is not me pointing the fingers at anybody. This is for each of us to seriously ask ourselves. Okay. Can I say honestly that in terms of deen, am I a better person right now than I was 1, 2, 5, 10 years ago? Hopefully the answer is yes for all of us, inshallah. This is a serious question that each of us has to ask ourselves. Because if the answer is not yes, then what do I expect to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now? Right? Because the practical reality is that we already have all the knowledge we need. Okay? If I asked us to quote every single piece of a hadith that any of us know, in this room alone we could probably quote about 2,000 hadith. And I'm saying that in all seriousness. Right? We already know everything we need to know. Okay? And so the question, the fundamental question for me to ask myself is, what's holding me back? And then turning to the children of Israel, ask them how many miracles they received, okay, and they didn't change. Okay. So sometimes what we're waiting for is that golden key, that miraculous thing to happen. That's not going to happen. Change is not going to happen that way. Okay. Because we know what we need to know. Okay. So having said that, our goal then is to move forward and over the next X number of weeks to try to complete Al-Baqarah. First half of Al-Baqarah, we didn't have that many commands. Okay. We had very, very few commands, okay, which we'll review. Second half of Al-Baqarah, we're going to have instruction after instruction after instruction. First half of Al-Baqarah is laying out the foundation. Second half is now saying, do this, and do this. Okay. And so that'll be our goals, inshallah, over the course of these classes. My hope is that we can finish Al-Baqarah before the end of the calendar year, but I don't think it's going to happen, right? And it's not anyone's, this is more on me in terms of the speed that we go and how many times I have to skip class. But that's the goal. But realistically, I'm guessing we'll probably finish around February, March, inshallah. Hopefully before next Ramadan. I don't even know how many times, how long we've been having these classes. You remember? 2 years? Okay, inshallah. Okay, any last questions or thoughts about anything? Okay. So, again, in general, the class will run from 7 to about 8:30. This time we didn't have a break, but usually we'll take a break. And so we'll meet starting in 2 weeks, inshallah. Okay, no last questions or thoughts? Okay. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhanakallahumma, glory to you, O Allah, wa bihamdika, praise and gratitude are to you. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, we bear witness there is no God but you. Nastaghfiruka, we seek your forgiveness, wa natubu ilayk. Subhanakallahumma and we turn to you. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Okay, may Allah Ta'ala reward you all, and it's good to see everyone once again.